All right, let's talk about something I'm sure a lot of you have dealt with, diving headfirst into a legacy PHP application. You know the deal. It's amazable code, weird error messages, and all sorts of strange behaviors. The real question is, how much of that stuff actually matters? So, does this look familiar? You're hours deep into your recon, you're following these little breadcrumb trails that look super promising, but they all just lead to dead ends. It really does feel like you're chasing ghosts, doesn't it? Trying to figure out what some developer was thinking 10 years ago. And that brings us to the whole point of this explainer. The truth is, when you're doing recon on these old apps, most of what you find is just noise. The real trick, the real skill, is learning how to tune all of that out and lock onto the actual signal. So let's get into it. First things first, we've got to understand the enemy here. And the enemy is noise. And I'm telling you, it's not just a simple distraction. It's a seriously dangerous trap that can throw your entire security assessment off course. Let's call this stuff nostalgic noise. You know what I'm talking about. It's those clues that feel really important just because they look old and dramatic, like an ancient server banner or some crazy-looking error from a library that hasn't been updated since forever. They grab your attention, for sure, but they almost never point to a real exploitable vulnerability. They're basically just ghosts in the machine. And this quote just nails it. An error message isn't valuable because it looks like a fossil. It's valuable if it tells you something concrete, like the full file path from a failed include statement. One of those things actually reveals the app's internal structure. The other is really just digital dust. But here's the really sneaky part, the dangerous part. It's a psychological trap. See, collecting all this noise makes you feel productive. Your notes get longer, your report starts looking beefy, and you start feeling more confident. But if none of that info actually helps you decide what to test next, it's worse than useless. It's a total false sense of security. Okay, so if we're supposed to just ignore all the noise, what in the world are we looking for? This is where we have to train our eyes and our brains to spot the truly actionable signals. And really, here's the difference in a nutshell. Over on the left, you've got the noise, dramatic errors, old server info, all this vague stuff that leads to these big, sprawling theories you can never prove. But on the right, that's the signal. That's hard, actionable evidence. Seeing a PHP extension tells you the tech stack. An include error gives you a literal server path. Watching how a parameter changes the page, that is a direct clue for your next test. So your whole mission is to hunt for the clues that cut down on the guesswork. Things like exposed file extensions, predictable parameter behavior, login flows that hint at some weak logic, or maybe a file upload function. Every single one of these is a thread you can actually pull on to see if you can unravel a real vulnerability. They are starting points for validation, not just for staring at. And honestly, that's the ultimate filter. Before you even bother to write something down, you have to ask yourself this question: does this piece of information change what I'm going to do in the next 5 minutes? If the answer is no, it's noise. Move on. If it's yes, congratulations, you've just found a signal. You see, this whole approach, it's not just about tactics. It's a fundamental shift in your mindset. It's all about learning to prioritize concrete, validated results over these really compelling but totally unproven stories. I absolutely love this quote because it's so true. Think about it. Spending just 10 minutes to confirm how one little parameter actually works is so much more valuable than spending 2 hours building some complex, crazy theory about a flaw based on some vague error message. Just get in there and test it. This whole mindset, it really boils down to trusting what the application does, not what you think it might be doing. We call this focusing on observable behavior. It just means you value the tangible response you get back from the server more than the suspense of some mysterious clue. It's the difference between being a detective who follows the evidence and a novelist who just makes up a story. And at the end of the day, this is what separates the people who succeed in this field. It's the people who get a real thrill from confirming one small, concrete detail, not just from chasing some dramatic but totally unsubstantiated lead. It really takes patience and a commitment to evidence. So how can you put all of this into practice, like right now? Let's boil everything we've talked about down into a simple, actionable filter that you can start applying to your own work immediately. Here it is. Let's call it the signal test. Just 4 easy steps. 1. You identify a potential clue. 2. You ask that all-important question. Does this concretely change my next action? If the answer is no, you consciously label it as noise and you move on. Seriously, don't even write it down. If the answer is yes, then you found your signal. And now your next step is totally clear. Go validate it. So I'll leave you with this last thought. Based on everything we've just covered, what is one piece of that nostalgic noise, that one type of distracting, low-value clue that you can make a conscious decision to just ignore the next time you're deep in a recon project? Making that choice, well, that's the first step to becoming a master at finding the signal.